Hello and welcome to another episode of Miss Math Maniac. Today we're going to be talking about division. Alright, now this is a kind of difficult subject with a lot of different steps, so we need to pay close attention today and try to make it as fun as possible so we can remember it better, okay? So first we're going to talk about what is division, alright? What does that mean if we're going to divide something? Okay, so say I want to have, if I have the number 8 divided by 4, that means I am going to have 8 of something. Let's say 8 circles. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And I want to break it up into groups of 4. So here's one group of 4. Oh, I can't circle. And here is 2 groups of 4. So that means 8 divided by 4 would be 2. Now, sometimes division, okay, it doesn't always work the way we want it to, okay? Sometimes it doesn't go in evenly, okay? Sometimes it doesn't work out so that it's even all the time. So we might have something called a remainder. We might have some leftovers. So let's say if we did 8 divided by 3. We need to think, how many times does 3 fit into 8? Now, it's not going to be even, okay? Because we know 3 times something is not equal to 8, okay? So it's not going to be even. We're going to have some leftovers, but that's okay. So let's see this visually. If we have 8 circles again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, okay? And we want to break them up into groups of 3. Okay, so here's one group of 3. Here's 2 groups of 3. Now, can I make a third group of 3? No, I can't because I only have 2 left. So this would only be 2, and I would have 2 left over. We call that our remainder. All right, anytime you have something left over, that's what we call a remainder. Okay, it's what remains from the problem, okay? So our 2 would be our remainder. So we write that R2. So our answer to this would be 2 remainder 2. Now you're like, okay, Miss Math Maniac, that is easy peasy, okay? What about when we deal with big numbers? Well, we've got a way to remember that. So let's take a look at here. DMSB, all right? I like to refer to this as dad, mother, sister, brother. Pretty easy to remember. We're just talking about members of the family. But we probably can't dad 2 numbers, all right? So that D probably doesn't stand for dad. What do you think that D stands for? Anybody? Takers? Anything? It stands for divide, okay? So that D stands for divide, all right? The M stands for multiply. The S stands for subtract. And the B stands for bring down, or what I like to refer to as back up. All right? You know, when you're like playing a military game, or when you're watching one of those movies with the police officers and they're like, we can't handle them, there's too many, we need backup, 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 we need backup, okay? That's what we're gonna do when we divide. We're gonna have to call for backup, all right? So let's see these steps. So divide, multiply, subtract, bring down, or what we call backup, okay? So that means we are always going to do these steps in the same order, okay? And we're gonna repeat the order until we can't do it anymore, okay? So let's see this in a real life problem. So if we're gonna do 47 divided by 4, I've got our dad, mother, sister, brother steps on the side here just to remind us. Right? But first, we need to set up the problem. We are not going to write it like this, right? That would be very difficult to do. We write it a different way, all right? We write it in a way that I like to refer to as Big Mama's house, all right? So Big Mama is always the bigger number, okay? And if you've watched my videos before, I refer to Big Mama a lot, okay? So Big Mama is just always the big mama, the big number, okay? So in this case, Big Mama is 47. Okay, and Big Mama, she goes inside her house because she was too fat to stay outside. All right, so 47 goes inside. This is Big Mama's house. All right, we can even draw like a roof here and a chimney. Okay, so now when we do our division, our answer is going to go in the attic and our work is going to go downstairs in the basement. All right, and our remainder is going to go in our chimney here. Okay, so we're going to think of our chimney as the where to write our remainder if we have one. Okay, so we're going to divide this by, what's our divisor? 4. Okay, so we're going to write 4 right here. And imagine 4 is coming to knock on the door of Big Mama's house. Hey, duk, 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 duk. Okay, 4 is knocking on the door. Who is going to answer the door? Oh, wait, this guy right here. This 4 is going to come answer the door. Okay, so 4 comes and answers the door. He's like, hey 4, how's it going? Hey. All right, so he answers the door. What is the first step in our dad, mother, sister, brother? First step would be to divide, right? Okay, so we are going to divide 4 divided by 4. All right, and that's like what I showed you before. If we do 4 divided by 4, that means we have 4 circles, and we want to break it up into a group of 4. If we break it up into a group of 4, how many groups do we make? Right, just one group. Okay, so we would write 1 in our attic, right above the 4. Okay, so every time we divide, we are going to write the answer to our division problem right up here in the attic. All right, so we did our divide. So I'm going to put a check here, check, divided. All right, what's our next step? Right, we need to multiply. But the difficult part is knowing which numbers do we multiply, right? Now when you multiply, you're always going to multiply the guy who's at the door, which is 4, okay, with the number you just wrote in the attic, all right? In this case, it's 1. So after we divide, we write our answer in the attic. When we multiply, we're going to multiply the guy who's knocking on the door with the answer we just wrote in the attic. So we're going to multiply 4 times 1. What's 4 times 1? 4. You're right. Okay. Now when we multiply, we write the answer in the basement. All of our work goes down here. So 4 times 1 is 4. So we write it right underneath here, right underneath that 4. Okay, so we just multiply, all right? What is our next step? What's our next step? You're right, we're gonna subtract. So we're gonna subtract going down. 4 minus 4. What's 4 minus 4? 0, you're right. So we're gonna put a 0 right here, all right? So we subtracted. Now, what does our B stand for? Stands for backup, okay? We cannot divide 4 and 0, so we need backup. Backup, we need backup, bring down the 7, okay? 7 is going to come help us out here, okay? 7's gonna help us out. So we need to think now, right, after we call for backup, we're just going to repeat the steps over again. So what is our first step? If we go back up, we're going to divide again. Now, it kind of gets confusing sometimes to know which numbers we divide and which numbers we multiply, okay? We're always going to divide going down this way, all right? We're going to divide going down, and we're always going to multiply going upwards, and we're going to subtract going down like that, all right? So if you think about your arrows, anytime you're going, if you're going to divide, you're going to go divide on a slant. Multiply, you're going to go slanting up, and subtract, you're just going whoop, straight down. So divide, woo, multiply, woo, subtract, bloop. All right? So we called for backup. Now we need to divide again. We are going to divide, like I said, going down on a slant. So we're going to divide 4 divided by 7. Now, let's think about this here. Can 4 go into 7 evenly? What I mean by that is 4 times something equals 7? No, it's not going to go in evenly, but that's okay. We just want to see how many groups of 4 can we make when we have 7, right? Well, we know 4 times 1 equals 4. 4 times 2 equals 8. We only have 7. Do you think we could use the 8 if we only have 7? No, we can't, all right? 8 would be too much. So we're going to have to use this first fact here, all right? 4 can only go into 7 one time. We can only make one group of 4 when we have 7. So we're gonna write the answer to our division problem right up here in the attic, like we always do, okay? We always write the answer to our division in the attic, okay? So we divided, check, all right? What is our next step? What's our next step? We're gonna multiply, and remember, we multiply, going up on an angle. So we're gonna multiply 4 times the 1 we just wrote up here. So what's 4 times 1? 4 times 1 is 4. We're gonna write that answer right underneath the 7, right? Answer to division goes in the attic. Answer to multiplication goes in the basement, all right? So we multiplied, check, okay? What's our next step? Yep, we're gonna need to subtract. So we're going to subtract going down, straight down. So we're gonna subtract 7 minus 4. 7 minus 4 is 3. Excellent. Okay. Now, we subtracted. Our next step would be to call for backup. Is there any number to call down for backup? There isn't. When we get to this point, this 3 right here is what's left over. It would be our remainder and would go right up here in the chimney. All right, so let's do another problem. So here we're gonna do 59 divided by 3. So we've got to build Big Mama's house. Got the house there. We're gonna put a roof on it, my chimney, all right? So who goes in the house? Well, Big Mama does. So we're gonna put Big Mama in here as 59, okay? And who is knocking on the door? Why, that would be 3, our divisor. So we're at 3 right there at the door, okay? So we remember our dad, mother, sister, brother, divide, multiply, subtract, bring down, okay? So we're gonna go through those steps one by one. The first one is divide. So we're gonna divide 3 and 5. Now, if you think about this here, is there going to be an exact answer here? Can we split 3 into 5 evenly? No, we can't, all right? 3 times 1 equals 3. 3 times 2 equals 6. I don't see a 5 there, all right? It's gonna be somewhere in between. So how many times is 3 going to go into 5, right? 2 would be too much, so we're gonna have to go with 1. We're gonna put a 1 right here in the attic, right? Now, after we put our 1 there, we finished our division. But what do we need to do next? We need to multiply, okay? So what numbers are we going to multiply here? Now remember, when we divide, we're going down. Multiply, we go up. So dividing goes down on a slant, and multiplying goes up on a slant. So we are going to multiply 3 times 1, right? So what is 3 times 1? Yes, 3 times 1 is 3. Now where do I write this answer? I know I write the answers to my division problems in the attic, and I write my work in the basement, all right? So our answer to that multiplication problem is going to go right underneath here. 3 times 1 is 3, so we're going to write our 3 right there. Now, what comes after the multiplication? Yes, you're right, we need to subtract. And we subtract going straight down, right? That's subtraction. Okay, bloop, straight down. So the numbers that we're going to subtract would be 5 and 3. What is 5 minus 3? 5 minus 3 is 2. We'll write our answer right there. So we multiplied. We subtracted. What comes next? B, we need backup, get here, backup, okay? We can't do 3 into 2. 2 is too small. It doesn't fit. So we need to call for backup. We need to bring our 9 right down here. So we no longer just have 2 or just 9. We have 29. Okay, so we're going to need to go back to the top of our checklist. All right, we did the backup. We're going to need to divide again. So the numbers we're going to divide, we're going down on a slant. Remember, we divide going down this way. So we're going to divide 3 into 29. So we need to think, okay, 3 times what is going to get us close to 29? Okay, well, I know, let's think in my head, I know 3 times 7 equals 21. That's too little. Let's see if we can get closer. All right, 3 times 8 equals 24. Still not quite at 29. Let's keep going. 3 times 9 equals 27. Closer. Let's see if we can get any closer. Well, 3 times 10 equals 30. Too much. All right, we went too far there. So we're going to have to go with this one. We're going to have to go with this one. 3 times 9 equals 27. All right, so the closest we can get is 3 can go into 29 9 times. So I'm going to write my answer to my division problem right up there in the attic. So we divided. Then we already know the multiplication answer. We know 3 times 9, because we multiply going up. 3 times 9 is 27. So we're going to write the 27 right down here in the basement. 3 times 9 is 27. So we did our multiplication. What would be next? You're right, we need to subtract. So we're going to subtract 29 minus 27. So 9 minus 7 is 2. 2 minus 2 is 0. All right, so we subtracted. Our next step would be backup. Now, do we have any more numbers to bring down for backup? We don't, all right? So once we get to this spot, if you see that this number is smaller than the one you're dividing with, that means that is going to be your remainder. Now, if this number down here is bigger than this, that means we messed up somewhere along the way. So this number that we subtract at the end needs to be smaller than this one. Yes, I said smaller. Smaller. All right, so because this one is smaller, we know we did it correctly, and that's going to go in our remainder spot right here in the chimney, and that's going to be 2. So the answers to this question would be 19 are, for remainder, 2. 19 remainder 2. Okay, let's do one more just to make sure you got it. All right, so last one we're going to do here is 98 divided by 4. Again, we got to put Big Mama in her house. All right, and 4 is going to be knocking on the door. All right, now if you want to, you can draw the roof. It's not necessary. I like to draw the roof. I think it's cool. The roof and my chimney for the remainder. Okay, so we're going to start, just like we always do, with dividing. Now, which numbers are we going to divide? 4 goes knocking on the door, and 9 comes to answer. So we need to think, how many times can 4 go into 9? Well, I know 4 times 1 equals 4. 4 times 2 equals 8. 4 times 3 equals 12. Too far. All right, 12 is going to be too far. So we know it can't be that. So the closest we can get is 4 times 2 is 8. So 4 can go into 9 2 times. So we're going to put our 2 right there in the attic. All right, now, after we divide, what's our next step? You're right, we need to multiply. So we're going to do 4 times 2. We always multiply going up. All right, so 4 times 2, we already know that answer, it's 8. We're going to write our 8 right here down in the basement. Now, once we have that 8 there, with our multiplication, we're going to subtract. All right, so let's do 9 minus 8 is 1. So we can put a check for subtraction. Okay, what's our next step? Yes, we need backup. All right, so we are going to bring this 8 down to help us out. So it's no longer a 1, it's no longer an 8, it's an 18. All right, now we check off the backup. What would we do next? You're right, we're gonna have to go up to the top of our checklist and do our division again. All right, so we need to think. Division goes down, multiplication goes up. So we're going to divide 4 into 18. All right, let's think about this. 4 times 4, you know, 4 times 4 is 16, all right? That gets us pretty close. 4 times 5 equals 20. Too far, all right? We know that we cannot use this one because our number is 18. We can't go over 18, so I'm going to cross that out. So the closest we're going to get to is 16 by multiplying 4 times 4. So I can say 4 goes into 18 4 times. I'm going to write my answer right up there. Okay, so now we did our dividing second time. Let's do our multiplication second time. So 4 times 4, 16. We're going to write it right down here in our basement. Okay, now what comes after the multiplication? Yeah, subtraction. Just like always. 8 minus 6, 2. 1 minus 1 is 0. So we did our multiplication. We did our subtraction. Now we would call for backup. But wait, there's no one else to bring for backup. Now, we got to check. Is this number less than our divisor? Yes, it is. It is less than our divisor. So that 2 is going to be our remainder. So our answer to 98 divided by 4 is going to be equal to 24 remainder 2. All right? Now, I know this is a lot of information, it's a lot of steps, but if you take it step by step and use our dad, mother, sister, brother checklist, you should be good to go. Now, practice, 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 okay? Without practicing, you're never gonna get this, okay? So, any questions, write them in the comment box below. Watch this video over and over and over again. Slow me down, press pause, play to practice yourself just to make sure you've got it, all right? See you next time. Peace out.